Tall tales are associated with the lore of the American frontier and spun around such legendary heroes as Paul Bunyan, the giant lumberjack of the Pacific Northwest, Davy Crockett, the backwoods Tennessee marksman, and Johnny Appleseed, who planted apple orchards from the East Coast to the western frontier. In the field of clinical somatics, we have our own tall tale heroes, such as F.M. Alexander, Moshé Feldenkrais, and Ida Rolf. One lesser-known somatic pioneer was Gerda Alexander, and her tale was about freeing the body, mind, and emotions from the stresses of modern life. Her great somatic discovery was that overly constricted tonus, or muscle tone, can be relaxed by simple proprioceptive techniques. Gerda Alexander influenced many other somatic pioneers, including Moshé Feldenkrais, who based his awareness through movement exercises on Gerda Alexander's ideas and explorations. The concept of tonus is central to the practice of clinical somatics. In the book Somatics, Thomas Hanna explains, all muscles have tone or tonus, that is, a natural elasticity or ability to stretch and contract in response to stimuli. In the resting state, tonus is zero. So if we have complete control of a muscle, we can achieve a muscle tonicity of zero, complete relaxation. But if we lose our voluntary control of the muscle, acidity can increase to 10, 20, or even 40%. This is chronic muscular tension. It's important to note that high tonus is not the same thing as muscle strength. Someone who works out at the gym can have strong muscles and at the same time have low tonus, meaning that even though they have strong muscles, they still have the ability to fully relax their muscles. To explain how muscles lose their ability to relax, Thomas Hanna uses the analogy of a running motor. Muscles with high tonus are always sore because the glycogen, which is stored in the muscles for energy, are constantly being burned up. If there is constant combustion, then there is also a constant buildup of lactic acid, and the more acid there is, the more the muscle sensory cells become irritated. The combustion of glycogen creates contraction, and the glycogen is then turned into lactic acid, and a constant 10% buildup will create enough activity to make the muscle feel tired. A constant 40% buildup will create so much hot acidity around the pain receptor cells that the bloodstream cannot flush it away, and the muscle will feel constantly painful. Gerda Alexander's eutonic, meaning organic, exercises were viewed by her as essential to relaxing tonus. Eutonic movements are instinctive and innate gestures, such as stretching, yawning, sighing, energetic rubbing to warm oneself, or spontaneous moments of joy. Gerda Alexander explains, when yawning, for instance, the respiratory organs, considered as a system of tubes, open more fully, allowing for the intake of surplus oxygen. The breathing out, which follows, is often amplified by a sigh, the effect of which liberates the lungs by vigorously exposing stale air. Yawning puts the respiratory organs into good condition and prepares the body for activity. In the practice of eutony, all organs, the blood circulation and breathing are involved, not just the muscles. Eutony is intended to free and balance the tonus in the whole body, affecting the entire nervous system and eliciting an overall sense of well-being and relaxation. Utani, in addition, is intended to go beyond simple muscular skeletal work and into more psychosomatic realms. Gerda Alexander, in fact, inspired psychotherapist Alexander Lowen into his use of grounding in bioenergetics. There are 3 functional systems in Utani: feeling, understanding, and trusting. Just as in music, where the elements of melody, harmony, rhythm, dynamics, and form can be perceived separately, leading to a deepened appreciation of music, so can our distinguishing between the individual parts of the body lead to a deepened awareness of the whole person. Gerda Alexander's rest and passivity exercises are concentrated learning exercises that can be applied to any technique, whether it be a sport, the playing of an instrument, or the use of a machine. The first rule for being passive is to do nothing, except to feel the relationship with the floor, the chair, the bed, and the support that it gives the body. This will gradually bring about relaxation. Active and passive movements are essential for muscle control. The passage of the active to the passive state requires specific attention to each of 4 phases of muscle engagement. First, there is the active movement. Second, there is a decision to stop and hold that movement. Third, a decision to stop holding and to release the muscle contraction. And fourth, a complete relaxation or repose after letting go. By breaking down each part of a movement as a conscious and separate decision, sensory motor awareness is activated in a clear and distinct way. Gerda Alexander's control positions are specific postures and allow the person to subjectively assess the degree of tightness of their muscles. A taut muscle is shortened and will stiffen the joint. A relaxed muscle is lengthened and will render the joint flexible. These positions are ranged from easier to more challenging. A person who is tense will not be able to take up a position correctly nor maintain it. If the positions are not possible because of tensions, then one can use their concentration and relaxation skills to focus on relaxing those specific muscles. Contact exercises start with a relaxed awareness of being supported or carried by the ground. Then, objects such as sticks and balls are placed under or on certain parts of the body. The person is instructed to notice the sensations coming from the feel of the object and to describe them in their mind as they are felt. For example, their shape, smoothness, roundness, length, and so on. In addition, sensations on the skin as it touches the object are important to describe. The object itself in an objective sense, as well as how the object feels subjectively. Exercises of current concentrate awareness on one part of the body by observing sensations of tingling or warmth from inside the body and then passing that current feeling into an adjacent area. For instance, when clasping hands, first feel the current in the right hand, then pass that current to the left hand or onto another adjacent area. These exercises often move in circular patterns around the body. Eutonic movement exercises, as opposed to the relaxation and concentration exercises, seek to answer the question, Does relaxation exist in movement? These movements are built on instinctual, innate reflexes such as stretching and yawning, slumping and exhaustion, or opening one's mouth and eyes when excited or surprised. Eutonic movement exercises focus on the lightness of movement. For example, tracing an imaginary line in the air and allowing that line to lift the body effortlessly. Or the opposite idea of pushing against an object, such as when getting up from a low armchair by pushing down on the arms of the chair. The work of Gerda Alexander is rich with ideas for enhancing proprioceptive abilities in order to reset high tonus levels and to balance the entire psyche. Her work is lesser known than the other somatic thinkers, but her ideas and techniques are incredible. This is so important because as humans, we are taught how to handle and react to stresses and strains outside of ourselves, but we're not taught how to handle what is going on inside our bodies. The first step, according to Gerda Alexander, is sensory, since we cannot change something we cannot feel. Gerda Alexander understood that by sensing each part of us, how it feels, how it can best relax, how it interacts with other parts of our body, both inside and out, a balanced psyche can be achieved. As we have seen with the pioneers of somatics, they were not lone superheroes. They relied on others for ideas and inspirations. Somatic practitioners of today will become the somatic heroes of the future, not by reinventing the wheel, perhaps, but by designing it differently, more smartly, and putting their own unique perspectives on their work. Sadly, what often happens after pioneers move on to the great beyond, their once open and evolving work becomes stagnant and rigid after their death. Associations, guilds, and institutes take over for the sake of preserving the purity of the work. While this intention is good, it often has the effect of shutting down new innovation and creativity in those fields. The work can become atrophied and fossilized in time. My father, Thomas Hanna, believed that somatics should be a huge umbrella under which we all can share. From the very start, Thomas Hanna had a vision that the field of somatics would be interconnected and flourish in many varied directions. In the first issues of the journal Somatics, Tom Hanna announced the Somatic Society, the Nexus Connection Facilitation for all somatic educators and body workers. Today, that vision is being furthered by groups such as the International Somatic Movement Education and Therapy Association, ESMETA. Tales of legendary somatic pioneers are epic, and Gerda Alexander, in particular, is a shining example of a somatic heroine whose work, though lesser known than other somatic pioneers, is brilliant and can be used to inspire somatic practitioners today. Looking back at the somatic pioneers' great achievements, it is clear that they borrowed ideas from others and were constantly evolving their work as they went along until the day they died. My father, Thomas Hanna, told me before his untimely death that he had much more to do in order to develop his philosophy and pedagogy of somatics. In reflecting on the great somatic pioneers and my own father's work with somatics, I believe these are not tall tales of fantasy, but are great achievements. Considering the possibility for the incredible expansion of somatic fields in the future, let us dare to be innovative and creative in our own bold tales of avenues towards somatic freedom. Past somatic pioneers became legends for a reason. Now it is time for us to carry new tales forward and into the future. And thankfully, we can lean on these great somatic pioneers from the past to support our vision of the future.